Hey, everybody out in Progress Report land, which is Manchester.
Our land.
It's our land. It's what we claim for how many years, Mike?
12 years.
12 years! Oh my God! I must have been an infant when we started. You were,
I was.
You must have been in utero.
You know, don't forget, Bob. When we started this thing, I was supposed to be on the other side of the camera. I don't know how I got dragged out.
Well, because you're so handsome. That's what did it.
I do understand the demand. I get that, but you know, it's.
And you know, I have to announce something pretty outstanding.
Flex a little, Bob.
You know, I've always worried about the Progress Report being restricted to the cable viewing area here, Manchester, Auburn, Hooksett. Many fine people. I would like to have it more. And I'm now proud to say that our last program, our election analysis program with Lou D'Alessandro and Alan Raff, is up on both YouTube and Facebook. No, I don't know how I can do that again.
What do you think of that?
I mean, I can't do it without great help. I have to thank Rick Maynard for doing that. But if any of you want to go check that out, and we're going to try and keep this going, folks. So the Progress Report.
We're going to keep it going.
Can
Never
go
mind
can
trying.
go
We're
beyond
gonna get
the Manchester, Hooksett, Auburn area to be a nationwide,
a global news network,
a worldwide phenomenon.
Yep.
We will finally challenge 60 Minutes.
Going
well,
coast
I
to
don't
coast.
know about that. I'm not so sure about that. Anyhow, here we are on the 10th day of November of what's been a magical fall and wonderful time to get out. Even today when they said there was going to be, rain and showers, it turned out to be a pretty damn nice day. And I thoroughly enjoyed my walk out to, the coffee shop in Goffstown.
I was going to say, let me guess, Apotheca, right?
Apotheca, you got to come and join me there sometime, Mike. But now we are on the edge of one of the nation's great holidays, Veterans Day, which used to be called Armistice Day, and we can talk maybe about that.
That's how the date was actually selected, was to commemorate the Armistice of World War I.
11th hour, the 11th day of the 11th month of the horrible Great War, which I think in many ways was even more devastating, well, for certain parts of our world, than even World War II, like the French say. But
they took it pretty good in World War II also. But
they didn't fight so hard in World War II as they did.
Here we go. Let's get back on topic.
Let's get back on topic. Okay. And but the American Legion, which we want to honor today for their part in celebrating Veterans Day, formerly Armistice Day, we couldn't have two better representatives than my good friend and a great contributor to the city of Manchester, Mike Lopez, who served how many terms as an alderman at large?
6 terms.
And you were one of the first, when we first went to an alderman at large, you were the first, among the first elected, were you not?
I was, no. Rich Gerard was, and then he ran for mayor, and I run for alderman at large.
So you had many.
I got in 2000. He got in.
And you served the city ably and well, and we thank you for that service, Mike. And I know you're a very proud veteran and very active in the American Legion, and you brought a good friend that we want to welcome too, Bill Roy. Is that right?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. We're so delighted to have you folks here because, we have our partisan divides. They're pretty vicious and lamentable. But we all want to celebrate what the veterans have done for us on Veterans Day. And so it's so nice to welcome you both here. And I'm pleased you reached out to us. I'm pleased to welcome you to our stage.
Thank you.
Mike, tell us a little bit about, if you want to know about yourself and about what's planned for tomorrow, because it's going to be very different than it was a year ago, which was not so great.
Well, it's been a while since the Manchester Veterans Council, which is comprised of all the veterans groups in the city of Manchester, was able to put on a parade. We were able to put on a parade, but it was a drive-by that we had. Memorial Day, you just drove your car down Elm Street, so it wasn't the same thing. But this year, through the leadership of Dan Beliveau, who's the commander of the Manchester Veterans Council, who has organized and put things together, I think it's going to be a great parade put together with the 3 high schools and marching bands, and having West High School at the park, having the vehicles, having the ROTC, some Vietnam veterans, and a various number of people that's going to be in the parade. I think it's going to be very well welcome.
Yeah.
and Hope. They're going to line up at 10 o'clock tomorrow morning on Webster and Elm, and at 10:30 they're going to step off. And the idea of getting from Webster Street to City Hall by 11 o'clock, where they'll have a ceremony at City Hall for the 11th hour, 11th day, 11th month. So
Who can forget that? Yeah.
and so after that they'll go into Veterans Park and have ceremonies there. Congressman Pappas will be there, Senator Hanson will be there, the mayor will be there, Lou D'Alessandro, and they'll have a ceremony there for Veterans Day. And then afterwards, there's going to be a final completion of the battlefield crosses.
Tell me about that. I'm not aware of
Yeah,
that.
the battlefield crosses, and Brendan, you could probably put that up. The battlefield crosses is from each war.
There it is.
Each war, which is an inverted rifle and combat boots with a helmet of each of the wars of those that actually gave their life in combat.
Going back how far, Mike?
World War One.
World War I. But the American Legion goes back to the Civil War, doesn't it?
We go back to 1918.
Oh, do you?
Yes, we do.
Oh, I thought you meant
We
we
just
the memory
celebrated.
of the Civil War, not so
No.
much, though.
No,
Okay, thank you.
we just celebrated over 100 years. Actually, it's 102 years now.
So it was the Great War, what they called it at the time.
Right, and so I'm going to let the commander here talk a little bit about the American Legion. I try not to mix both of them, but on this dedication, it came up an idea that sprung and needed a sponsor, so the Disabled American Veterans stepped forward to take on this project for the city. And Memorial Day, we dedicated 3 of the monuments, and we had the World War.
You mean last year, Memorial Day?
Yes, we only dedicated 3 because we had to raise the money for the rest. And the World War One, the VFW ended up sponsoring that one for tomorrow, and the Catholic War veterans did the Korean War monument. So now that completes everything there. So tomorrow they'll have a little ceremony.
Mike, we saw the picture there, and when we see it, these are bronze
Yes.
statues depicting the battlefield crosses.
There it is again.
Comprised of the boots. Now, it's my eyesight. It looks like each of these monuments actually is using the boots and the helmet and the weaponry of that era. So each one represents not only just in words the time, but also in the depiction of the actual crosses.
Right. As you look around, you can see that the helmets are different and the rifles are different.
Yeah, I can see the old doughboy
right. So
dish.
it's quite an addition to Veterans Memorial Park, where the World War II monument is.
And you were very instrumental in that, weren't you not?
Yeah,
Mike?
that was.
I want to really congratulate you for making Veterans Park a better Veterans Park than it ever
Certainly.
was before you got involved.
Well, thank you very much. It was quite a project, and actually, a gentleman by the name of Tony Cairn, who was the Department Disabled American Veterans, who asked me for years if I'd take on that project. And so after a long time, I said, I'll take it on. I'll raise the money and get people to do it. But you give me the names, okay? And so I contributed names given to him, because that's a major project, putting 13,000 names on a monument.
13,000
13,000 on that monument
from World War II?
from World War II.
My goodness.
Local boys.
Yeah, a
Yeah,
lot of people
my
come
goodness.
in.
My great uncle is on that monument, and I got to tell you, every time I'm in the park, I'm drawn to go and find that name again. I don't even know why, but that really is such an addition. And it's also, just correct me if I'm wrong, that's kind of a replica or a recreation of a monument that was there long ago. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Oh, that's interesting. I
Yeah,
didn't
it
know
was.
that.
It was back in the days when it was called Merrimack Common. It turned around and the fire department used to do musters over a little pond
there was a pond there.
a few
Yeah.
years ago.
Yeah.
And there used to be a a monument for World War II. It was made out of wood. And then over the years, it deteriorated. And when the city redeveloped and they made a parking lot there for so many years, for some reason it got dismantled. So for a number of years, people kept talking about it and talking about it. At least 20 years I know of. Okay. And so finally, I said I'd do it. Okay. And that was a major project. It's
But what a fantastic result, though.
$250,000.
Fantastic result.
$250,000.
Thank you, Mike, for doing this.
But I had help.
I mean,
you
it
know.
was really terrific to see
And
this.
it's not going to
park
be
upgraded.
dismantled. It's not made of wood. This is a permanent monument.
Yeah,
That's
it could have been made out of granite, but you know, you only do what you can do. So,
So you've done an awful lot. You really have.
well, I thank you very much for
And
the
I really,
compliment.
really appreciate that you brought us this memory, which we should not forget.
But I wanted to mention that Bill Roy, who's our department commander for the American Legion here in New Hampshire, he is the only elected commander twice in over 100 years at the American Legion.
You must have avoided pissing people off pretty well.
No, there's no politics in the Legion.
No politics.
but
I'm sure it's very unique in that way.
But I understand the politics of the Legion. Every organization that has politics, it couldn't exist.
Well, congratulations, Bill. That's really terrific.
You know, it's kind of funny. I'm in an organization called the Ancient Order of Hibernians. We meet at Sweeney Post and have been for years and years and years. And I have the exact opposite problem. I can't find anyone to replace me.
It's hard today. It's very hard.
People don't
Yeah,
step up.
volunteers are hard to come by.
But listen,
today.
we were getting around to talking about the Legion in general, and I loved always seeing you guys with your caps with that number 2 on it. Could you repeat the story of how, you know, after the war, when the Legion was being developed and there were 2 posts, Laconia, and tell us the story.
I'll tell you that, but first I want to tell you about Mike. You talk.
Okay, obviously.
Just a
Well, we've
just a-
talked a lot about Mike, but
First
go
things-
ahead.
But you know, the Morris McQuillan Award is from
Yes.
Morris McQuillan, who was
Union leader, veterans page editor
right.
for
He started
many,
that.
many years.
It's the longest running veterans page in the country.
No kidding.
And that's so Morris McQuillan, we passed away. We had the Morris McQuillan Award. Well, guess who won it? Mike has won that. Tony Karam, so which is really the MVP of what a veteran can
It
get
really is.
statewide.
Scott McQuillan, the descendant of
Right.
Morris, is a Hibernian brother, and I
is that
know
right?
exactly how important that.
So what else? Mike wins another MVP. He wins the Tony Karam Award, which is the same thing, but all for Manchester residents. So Mike's been there. So now, what were we talking about? What
I had asked if you could recount the story of
Oh,
how
yeah.
the Legion was,
Legion.
was brought to New Hampshire and the fateful coin toss, as they say,
Oh.
or whatever the real case may be.
When the Legion started getting formed in 1919 February in France, they had caucuses in St. Louis, and then they had the convention in Minneapolis on Veteran Armistice Day back then, November 11th.
Right.
So we get our charters in. We put our charters. We got our charters in on the same day. All right, now, who's going to be number 1? Who's going to be number 2? So, of course, there being no politics, they start talking about it. Well, Laconia says, well, you know, we're really, before now you weren't, so wait a minute, we'll settle this. Sweeney Post says, listen, you can have post 1, all right, fine. But here's what you have to do. We want the first commander. Well, the first commander was Frank Knox,
No kidding.
Yeah.
publisher
At
of the
one time, the Secretary of the Navy, if I'm not mistaken. Is that right?
During World War II.
Yep.
From Post 2. But here's another thing people don't know. In the late 40s and early 50s, we had a John L. Sullivan, who was Secretary of the Navy from Manchester, also from Post 2. And
I did not know that. That's really interesting.
Hyman Rickover, who said he was the father of the nuclear navy, says, no, I wasn't. It was John L. Sullivan. If it wasn't for him, we wouldn't have a nuclear navy. It was so John L. Sullivan was also a Navy secretary.
Yeah.
So
Wow.
so that's all that happened. We made a backroom deal, and that was it.
Yeah. So, would you gentlemen be interested in telling us about your own service in the Armed Forces of the United States?
Navy 4 years, 1967 to 1971.
My goodness.
I served on oilers. We fueled ships. You might want to say we were a seagoing gas station and sent supplies.
Yeah.
Well, it's sort of like the Rodney Dangerfield of the Navy. get no respect. But we have a saying, classis sine nobis non posse navigator. Actually means without us you can't sail. So, and it's true. It costs us to go to the gas station.
True.
So,
And how about you, Mike?
Me, I'm Army
Korea.
brat.
You were Korea, weren't you? Not?
I was in Korea. I was in Korea twice, but not during the war.
Okay.
I was in Vietnam. So I spent 22 years in the Army. In Vietnam, I was a combat photographer. I had four motion picture and
Really?
still photographer teams.
Really?
And we used to go out with the different divisions.
Yeah.
So that was an experience, Then when I come back, I got into recruiting. I was here stationed here in Manchester for 7 years, and they
Yeah.
told me that I was getting my orders to go back overseas, and I said, no, I'm getting out. So,
Really?
oh yeah.
But you've been a loyal, well, obviously a loyal American. Nobody doubts that. But a loyal participant in the American Legion, and pursuing
American Legion
the
via
memory of the sacrifices of our veterans
Oh yeah.
for a long, long time, in which
Well, I belong
we like to acknowledge that.
Thank you very much. I belong to the Veterans of Foreign Wars. Of course, being a veteran of foreign wars.
What is the relationship between the American Legion and the Veterans of Foreign Wars?
Well,
Are they any way competitive, or are they totally complementary?
Well, I think they're both complementary in their own right. Veterans of Foreign Wars is that you have to be in war in order to join the VFW.
Okay.
So,
The American Legion, you don't have to be a veteran. You don't have to necessarily been in a combat.
well, you have to be a veteran to join. You don't have to be in combat, but there are certain periods that are governed by Congress.
Yeah.
Wartime, peacetime.
Yeah.
Right, wartime, peacetime, and stuff like that. And then there's the Catholic War Vets, and there's the Disabled American Veterans.
Right.
So I belong to all of those organizations. Over the years, I've done some things for most of them, but I've done more for the American Legion than, because you can't give 100% to everything.
Right.
But so
Right,
the American
you
Legion
certainly
has been
can't.
one of my primary things in helping over
Yeah.
a number of years.
Yeah.
One of the things I wanted to mention, if I can go back to
Please.
the monument,
Mhm.
because I want to give credit to the Disabled American Veterans that took the charge and led this, and thank the VFW 8214 for sponsoring the World War I monument to be dedicated tomorrow, and the Catholic War Vets.
Oh, we're dedicating a World War I memorial tomorrow?
Yeah, one of these. We did it, three of them. The World War I was sponsored by the 8214 VFW,
Uh-huh.
and then the Korean War monument was that's listed here, which are battlefield crosses, was sponsored by the Catholic War Vets. So, and each of those things cost $5,000 each.
Yeah.
So, plus the shipping and all, a little bit more. But
Yeah.
thanks to them, the project has been completed. So,
Yeah.
where was I going to go with your question?
Well, I don't remember either, but let me ask you something else. You were hoping could be another person joining us tonight who was not available, but he will be available into part
Yeah,
of the
I'd like
ceremony
to-
tomorrow.
Bill,
And
talk
Bill,
about-
would you like to
yeah.
talk about this? Because I think we're very honored to have somebody this honor be in our city to help us celebrate Veterans Day.
well, Jim Troiola, he's the lead candidate for national commander next year, and he really wanted to come, but because of work,
I wish he could.
and he was really upset, but because of work constraints, he could not get out.
Yeah.
And so he wouldn't be here till probably 7:30 and 8, and so we stepped up here, and he's going to be the Grand Marshal of the parade tomorrow.
Oh, really?
You know those two Packards you see every
Yeah.
year? He's going to be in one of them, giving a beauty queen away, probably. and
See if I've got that right.
and he'll have he'll speak. He'll be one of the speakers at Veterans Park after the parade.
Yeah. Wow.
He's a
Bill,
Really
a
fun.
Manchester guy, or
He's actually from New York, all
Okay.
right? But he's living in Maine. He had moved to Maine, to follow his grandchildren and everything. But he's still affiliated with New York. He belongs to a post. And guy's sharp.
Really? And
You'll get to
he-
meet him tomorrow.
Yeah, I unfortunately I will be away. I would love to be with you guys because I love Veterans Day. I mean, I just think it's wonderful that we celebrate all you guys did. maybe you didn't agree with every war we were in, but you know, probably you didn't, but you know, you did your duty, and we should honor you for that. I mean, it's just amazing.
Bob, we're at our first break, but when we come back, I was thinking maybe we could talk a little bit about the distinction between Veterans Day and Memorial Day.
Yeah, we should do that.
We talked about it
Sometimes
preparing for the
people
show,
don't-
and
Tyler may not really understand
so
that.
we'll do that when we come back.
Yeah, both had different names when they started. Our November 11th, 10th, November 11th
on
is
the
tomorrow.
eve of Veterans
On the
Day.
eve of Veterans Day, which used to be called Armistice Day, and we could not have two better representatives for our military veterans and their service to our country than we have here today. We have Mike Lopez and Bill Roy, and these guys are, you know, they're American Legion. We have other veterans organizations.
And
we
then
have the
some.
American Legion here. And I thought you might guys like to talk about the guy who couldn't join us tonight because he wasn't quite here in time, but is going to be part of the events here tomorrow.
Yes,
Yeah,
he's actually going to be the Grand Marshal for the city of Manchester here in the parade.
As we teased out before we went to the break, and we talked about it a little bit as we were preparing for the show, the concept of Veterans Day, the concept of Memorial Day. Memorial Day, I think, is the older holiday. I think that came after the Civil War, if I'm not mistaken.
Originally, it was
Decoration Day.
Decoration
to decorate
Day.
the graves
Right.
of the fallen.
Yeah.
Right.
But not all veterans are fallen. Many come home, and that's a good thing. And that's where Veterans Day comes in. Am I right? I'd probably let you guys be more articulate in describing the difference.
Well, I think in New Hampshire, where we celebrate Memorial Day and Veterans Day, and we've done it so many years at the Veterans Cemetery, for an example, and there's a lot of veterans that felt like I did, and of course, there's always got to be somebody that speaks up. So years ago, I spoke up and went on deaf ears. But you keep bringing it up and bringing it up. And finally, after a number of years, my argument was always that Veterans Day is for the living and Memorial Day is for the deceased. Although we recognize, whether it's Memorial Day or Veterans Day, we recognize all our comrades that have given their life for their country.
Yeah.
But a form of ceremony is to have Veterans Day, which was V-Day, to come back, and those people that come back from war and be in the community and promote the veterans within the community. And somehow we lost that for a long time. And I think what happened in New Hampshire is that we got so complacent in just doing something on the same thing, and nobody wanted to change. And, you know, it's pretty difficult to have two functions at the same time. And the only people that suffer is in the community. So anyways, long story short, this past year, the Adjutant General, General Michaelides, brought it up before the Veterans Group, which is comprised of 23 members of veterans organizations in New Hampshire, that's sanctioned by the governor and everybody else, and they brought it up to us to what our opinion was. And overall majority of the opinion was that the veterans should be in the community and let the cemetery, they want to have a little ceremony, they want to do something, let them do whatever they want to do. But on Memorial Day, we'd do the big one to remember our comrade. And so this is the first year that we're not having a ceremony of everybody at the cemetery come out in the community, be part of the community, show the people who you are and what organizations you belong to, and talk about those that came home. And that's what it's all about.
There's so much wrapped up in that, though.
It
The
is.
reunification of families,
Right.
you know, while certainly remembering those who gave the ultimate sacrifice, so many more came back and went into
goodness.
sports, went into politics, found companies. took advantage of the GI Bill, went and got their educations, and the whole country rose up because of the effort that they just put into their everyday lives around their families.
And we'll never forget. We'll never forget those deceased that have left and cemetery. For an example, we do reefs across. They'll do reefs this year. Always be there, no matter what they want. At the cemetery, when they need us, we'll be there. But I think this is a great thing for us to bring the veterans back to the community and show the public who we are. The veteran cemetery knows who we are.
Yeah.
Okay.
By the way, I just have to say that if you haven't been to visit the New Hampshire Veterans Cemetery up in Boscawen, it's a really excellent place, and it'll leave you with a lot of feelings of honor. I mean, I think it's just very well done, very well presented, and I'm very proud that we have this Veterans Cemetery in New Hampshire. Are you? Don't you think so?
Oh, I think it's. I've been at Arlington and a couple others that you can't. I don't want to use to say beat, but the aesthetics of our cemetery is bar none.
Yeah, it's a beautiful site.
And it's a relatively new project, too.
And very well maintained and honorable. I mean, it does honor the veterans whose memories are being cared for there.
And what's good about the cemetery too is that when you go up there, whether it's a holiday or whatever the case may be, but just to go up there and walk around and if you if you have a group of people, they have what they call the Heritage Learning Center to learn about all the veterans that participated in New Hampshire, all the Medal of Honor winners from New Hampshire. You go through, it's a history, and you can spend all day long looking at that and understanding the veterans.
So
I didn't mean to interrupt, but I mean, Arlington's been around since the Civil War. New Hampshire was as beautiful as our facility is. That has all been developed from scratch within our lifetime.
I don't think there's too
Is
much
that right?
room.
It's brand new.
I don't think there's that much room in Arlington anymore.
Bill?
Mike, you just stepped down as a trustee after how many years at the cemetery?
18 years.
Just
Well,
recently.
congratulations on doing a
The
stunning
Heritage
job.
Learning Center was a major project. A lot of people contribute to it, and it's well on its way. It's a good learning. Of course, COVID stopped the students. It was built for students. The students come in and learn the history of.
I hope they will be back soon.
Well, we hope so. A lot of people put a lot of work in it, a lot of money into it. But even you as a veteran, and I must promote it, you could go there and put your information in, who you were and what you are, and any decorations. For history, you could do that, and they appreciate you doing that too. So any veteran can go up there anytime, join it, and do that stuff. It's really good.
So I think we should talk about what we've talked a lot about the American Legion, what's done to honor the memories of the veterans we have in this country who've served us in our wars. Bill?
One thing on that cemetery, I was against it when it first came out. And I said, well, we have plenty of local cemeteries. We put up the veterans' tombstones. I says, we don't need it. And I was really against it. So my wife and I were coming back up from North. I says, I'm sick of going on 93. Let's take the back roads. So go on Route 3 and, whoa, I said, what is that? Whoa. Pulled in. We took a little ride around and got out of the car. Got back in the car and I looked at my wife and says, I was wrong. I did a 180 that day. And
It's a beautiful, place to
And
remember.
I've attended burials there. I mean, it's just.
I hate that W word, but I have to admit I was wrong big time and did a 180. I said, Bill Roy, you really blew that one.
We have a caller, so we love our
nice.
callers.
Hey, we love our callers. Hey, welcome to the Progress Report. Go right ahead.
Go ahead, caller.
You with us?
I guess not.
No, I guess
Oh,
not.
sorry.
Well, we lost it. If
you
I
wanna
messed
call-
up, call
If
back.
you want to call back because we screwed up the technology here, which we can easily do, please feel free
At
to
my
do
age,
so.
you'd think I'd know how to use a telephone.
640-3091. We welcome callers.
We're not 10-year-olds, they know how to do that stuff.
So, guys, the American Legion's been around since, I think you said, Mike, maybe it was Bill,
1919.
1919, just after the end of the Great War, which, called the war to end all wars. It turned out to be the peace to end all peace, actually. But, what is the American Legion doing today, and how is it doing today? Are you thriving? Are you getting members? Yeah, I mean, you have some great programs you're doing for people. Talk a little bit about the present and the future you see for the American Legion.
Well, we're at 1.5 million. Biggest increase, biggest we ever had was shortly after World War II was 3.3 million. Then in 1990 we had a spike. We just almost broke the record. It was the 3.1 million.
Why was that, do you think?
I don't know. It was the Vietnam era, I think, getting
Vietnam?
out in the
Yeah, the
during that
Vietnam
time.
vets wanted to be part of this?
Yeah, also, and at that time in 1992, we had our biggest all-time high in New Hampshire of 27,262.
Wow.
We're about 15,000 now, so we suffered losses like a lot of our other organizations.
Well, we're all, we have an aging demographic in this country, folks.
Exactly.
But no shortage of veterans coming up through the ranks. The question is,
we try to get them.
Well,
men's fraternal organizations are just not in style
We
like
no
they used to
longer
be.
have a draft, a national army. We have an army of volunteers, and it's a tiny percentage of our population now.
1%.
That must present real challenges for a group that's trying to preserve the military history of the United States, which was not this style. I mean, it was.
Well, we have to have a program for the Sons of the American Legion.
I'm glad you brought that up. I wanted to
I
ask
think
about that.
it contributes. I must say that, like Manchester Henry J. Sweeney Post, for an example, the membership we got there, in comparison to other, we're way number one in the state. We got close to 1,400 members of American Legion.
This is the Sweeney Post you're
And then
talking
we
about.
have over 300 Sons of the American Legion. And then the auxiliary. We also have the Legion Riders that are contribute. So I don't think in the long run that we're going to need a bigger place in the long run. Let me put it that way, in my opinion.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, because it's like the Vietnam era. When I became involved in Vietnam and American Legion, it took a while because you had the World War II veterans. I remember looking at the statistics of Sweeney Post. We used to have somewhere 600 World War II veterans. We're lucky to have, I would say, I don't know the exact number, less than 75.
54.
Maybe. 54.
Really?
Yeah.
54
When I
less.
came
So,
in, they
so
were
how are
big
you
guys.
getting new members now?
Well, now it's reversed. We got last count I had is almost close to 600 Vietnam veterans, and I think where you're going to find that we have Afghanistan, we have Iraq, and I think as the years go by, we're going to get more of those. It sort
But
of
it's
works in
much smaller
cycles.
numbers, right? It's not
I
like
don't-
Vietnam or certainly nothing like World War II when the whole
Yeah, but
nation
there's a
rolls
big
up.
difference. It used to be, and Bill can talk a little bit more about this, about membership, because it used to be 90 days, and you don't need to be 90 days anymore. So there's a lot of National Guard people that have 1 day of active duty that are eligible to join now, in comparison to years ago.
Are they wanting to join?
Oh, yes, and you have that. Huh?
Mhm.
So you have people that weren't eligible to join the American Legion that are capable of joining the American Legion. And as more things happen in the area of benefits for veterans, and the National Guard and Reserve are learning about those, and the rules are changing. For an example, I don't know if it's approved yet, but I know they're working on it, where a National Guard or Reserve can be buried at the Arlington.
I saw that in the newspaper.
At
yeah.
the cemetery.
Yeah.
Because they've served on active duty, So they're changing the laws on that. So I don't foresee. I see a new generation coming forward. But I've seen the Korean, the World War II veterans. I've seen the Korean War veterans. Now I see the Vietnam veterans, and it rules in cycles. And there'll be somebody to come in and take it over. Because especially Sweeney Post, maybe not all the posts will survive, but we have welcomed younger veterans to come in and take leadership position, and that's the key.
I think it is, sure.
And
Is it working?
Oh, it's working very good. We have a look. Go ahead.
I didn't join until 14 years after I got out.
Really?
I don't know why.
What prevented you?
Well, I used to go to the football games with a friend of mine who belonged to Post 79, and we'd go there and have a few after the games. And he said, "Bill, why don't you join the Legion?" I says, "Okay." Somebody asked me, so we got to start reaching out.
Yeah.
And nothing can be better than the younger generation reaching out to the younger generation. Right now, the Gen X,
Right.
the Gen Xers are the big guys in town. That's my daughter, and probably your sons and daughters and everything. They're the big guns in town, and we're getting pretty small. The baby boomers. We used to rule, not anymore. The Gen Xers, and those Gen Xers try to get them involved. They're pretty good, and they're coming. They're coming. All of our officer positions, from the commander down to junior vice commanders, are in their 40s. We like to see that.
I'm sure you do.
And one's in the 50s, so that's good.
Yeah,
We're
that sounds
encouraging that.
good.
Let me get a couple of things. I don't know what time we got, but
Yeah, we
got
got
a
about
couple
20
minutes
minutes.
before
all
the
right,
next
but
break.
let me throw this in there for the American Legion. I'd appreciate it. There's two major programs that the American Legion really does, and that's baseball. Sweeney Post, for an example,
Yeah,
they spend about $30,000 a year just on baseball,
yeah.
and
Love that.
and the history of the American Legion baseball is terrific. But one of the programs I want to really talk about, because it's very important to my heart, number one, and I think it's a great program for any young junior in high school, and that's Boy State. Okay.
Yeah.
Boy State. And before I get into that, I'd like to get Brendan, if you could throw that little clip up for me so that it gets.
Senators, welcome to Boyd's Nation. I'm expecting to have a lot of fun, make a lot of connections just like Boys State, but I'm also expecting to dive a little deeper into senatorial things because I know everybody here is a senator and that's the main focus. I'm also looking forward to visiting attractions and really the heart of the country in Washington, D.C.
I'm bringing that up for the simple reason that in New Hampshire here, we're going to celebrate 75 years next year of Boy State. Boy State is a program that where an individual goes there and learns about government. You know, it a group of people, they'll elect a governor, they'll elect senators, just like the House does, and they'll be there. And Bill, you can talk more about it because you've been more directly involved than I have at the.
Yeah, it's called Granite Boys and Girls State. We have the boys and girls. It's going to be at the end of June next year, and it's going to be at St. Anselm's. It's very intensive. The boys
This is statewide, obviously.
yes, all the state schools can send as many contestants as they want, many students as they want. You have to be a junior going into your senior year. And
It's very hands-on, though. I
Right.
mean, you don't just learn how the government works, you run a government.
That's right. That's exactly
these
right.
kids get up at 6 o'clock in the morning, do PT, and they're going to classes all the way to 11 o'clock at night. It's sort of a government boot camp. You people have to come to St. Anselm's and see it. All right?
Is this unique to New Hampshire? Or
No.
is-
It
This is
started
done around the country?
started in 1935. The first, it was started in Illinois, and they had to take the fairgrounds that they had just 2 weeks before and take out all the hog pens and put in cots, and there were about 300 boys that went to it that year, and they didn't have any air conditioning, and it all started from there, spread throughout the whole country. All 55 departments send people, send boys and girls to Boys and Girls State, and it's quite a program. And being a politician, Bob, you ought to come up this way this year. No,
I would love it. I mean, I just,
I'm
you know,
serious.
I'm sick of hearing politicians derided as venal and corrupt. You know, there are certainly some who are, but the politicians, you know, basically want to change the world for the better.
Exactly. When I go with the kids over there, a lot of the Legionnaires, they'll stay with themselves. I sit down with the kids at the dinner tables and everything. What a perspective you get. You forget
Yeah.
how the younger people think. And,
Yeah.
and really, there's a lot of,
So how long has this been going on?
since 1937.
No kidding.
Oh, yeah.
Where you been, Bob?
How did I miss this? I don't
It
know.
costs $360 per student, but
Paid
we,
for.
we pay for it.
No
The
kidding.
American Legion pays for it. They St. Anselm does a great job with the food and all the where they stay, the rooms. It's a great job, and
And they literally, they will address an issue, they'll debate a bill, they have a vote.
Oh, yeah.
And it's all laid out. I mean, you're literally immersed as if you are.
Do they have to make
running a
fundraising calls?
they even do
That's where the reality gets
they
in.
do
the
mock
problem.
trials. We have judges come in,
Yeah.
and we have attorneys come in. One attorney will be the prosecutor. The other one will be the
Yeah.
defense, and we'll get a judge to moderate the
That's
trial.
really, really cool.
They could go online, American Legion, Boy State in the state of New Hampshire.
nhboystate.org. That's all.
All
you
the
have to-
But
information,
girls are involved too.
That's Girls State.
there's another program.
NH
It's a separate-
Girls,
separate but
NH Girls
equal.
State.
Yeah.
.org.
But the Boy State is gonna be 75 years old this year in New Hampshire.
You know, Bob, come June, when we're struggling to come up with a topic for a TV show, maybe we want to talk to these guys and maybe.
We should go in the field and film
We've
this
been
thing.
talking about that,
Yeah.
Bob. Look
Love
at, we're planning a show right here live on TV.
Alex Henlon from Sulloway up in Concord runs the program. He's an
Really?
attorney also. Alex Henlon was went to the program years ago, but he was also the oratorical contest winner from New Hampshire. I believe it was in 1999.
And talk about that. We talked about that in the lead up before the show.
I'm segueing right into that now. So the oratorical program, each student does a treatise on the Constitution. We have 3 amendments this year. We have 3 amendments every year. And we pick them out, say that it might be Amendment 8, 12, and 16.
Yeah.
So they have to get familiar with all those 3 because they don't know until just before when they have to go on stage and do their dissertation. And so they pull it out of a hat.
And then they have to defend that amendment.
Then they have to talk about it, right? They have to be very knowledgeable. The first phase is 8 to 10 minutes. I've never seen a longer 8 minutes than in. I mean, it's really good.
And you said no notes.
No notes.
So this is a test.
No notes. Then they have a phase that's 3 to 5 minutes, and that's of a member of their own choosing. Now we have a junior oratorical that will happen in April. That's for grade school, 6 through 8.
Yeah.
And they can have notes, but most of them don't. We're the only one in the country that has that. Actually, National is looking to adopt in our program.
Really?
As
This
a
is
feeder
this is
program.
an exciting program I had not known about,
Exactly.
so thank you for presenting it.
And we talked with Bob before the show. Bob has acquiesced to become a judge.
Well, I'm definitely honored.
It's going to be.
You know, my whole career has been
You're gonna love it.
yakking. I mean, I was a debate guy in high school, a debate guy in college, and I participated in national debate tournaments, and
This be your
Kinda-
first time being a judge.
well, it turned me into a lawyer. That for better or worse. I mean, that's what happened.
March 12th at the Institute of Politics at St. Anselm's.
Yeah.
It starts at 9 o'clock in the morning. Bob's going to have to be there at 8. He's going to be a judge. We're going to set him up.
I will so look forward to this. I'm
You'll be
so
working
honored.
with Bill Beiser and
Yeah.
Tom Elwood and some others.
Yeah. Well, I did not know that the American Legion was involved in this wealth of community
We've
building.
had Lou
It's just-
D'Alessandro as a judge in the past.
Has he?
Yeah.
Well, we should get him back
He
again.
might be there.
Now, I have to ask, did he get up and give his own speech?
Every judge.
No offense, Lou. I love you. I love you.
Every judge at the end is allowed a few moments.
Well,
to
this
give
is
their
so exciting.
observation.
There you go.
And it
I'm
works
just
real well.
thrilled by this
You-
opportunity.
We are so excited to have you, Bob, because I know what you've done with the community, and
Well, I'm so honored. I tell you, I just
it's
He
an
knows
awesome.
your
thrilled.
post office box too.
That's true. That's
So, Bob,
true.
you want to take our final break of the day and come back for a short segment, or do you want to blow right through?
Well,
it? What
let's
do you
take a
think?
short break for the day. I don't know what we've left out here, but I
Well,
don't
we
wanna
can
leave
regroup
anything
and come up with some questions.
out. That's so much fun, guys. What are we not talking about too much, by the way? Is there anything we haven't covered? We're back with the Progress Report. This is November 10th of 2021. Tomorrow is a national holiday, a very important holiday. It's Veterans Day, formerly Armistice Day, and we couldn't be more pleased than to have to honor this upcoming holiday, and this time with a real parade downtown in Manchester. Then two outstanding representatives
loves
of the
a parade.
American Legion, Bill Roy and Mike Lopez, also a long time serving as a alderman at large in the city of Manchester. And we're learning that the American Legion is not just about honoring the past, but doing really dramatic things to maintain the quality of life and the civic interest of citizens of Manchester going forward. We've heard about Boys State. I think probably everybody knows about American Legion baseball, which has been a path to success for so many and pleasure for everybody that participates, I'm sure. What do you think the challenges are ahead, you guys, about the American Legion? What are the things you're most worried about as you look forward to America? Well, 1919, you're 100 years now,
Yep.
just over 100 years.
We're chartered September 14th, 1919 by Congress.
It won't be too long before it's up to the 121st or 25th or whatever you want to do. What do you
what's it
think?
gonna look like?
What do you think the major challenges are, and how do you intend to meet them?
Well, there's always challenges. Veterans always need challenges, especially, you take for instance, even veterans in the Iraq War and from all the conflicts we have in PTSD, Agent Orange, all these things manifest themselves in years to come. I always like to say the Legion, as long as there's a vet, the American Legion will never forget. It was us that started
That works.
that got the GI Bill, the Servicemen's Readjustment Act in 1944, the VA hospitals, make sure they get the good treatment. I'll never forget that article by the Globe of 4 years ago. That shocked me on that Sunday morning, and how bad the hospital was here at the VA
Remember,
Medical
we did a show on that.
About
issue.
the issues about the lack of decent care.
I can tell you, it's been a
Manchester
complete,
VA.
complete 180 over there now.
That's
Al-
good to hear.
I hope so.
We had this guy, Al Montoya, the consummate employee. He turned that place around. Now,
And he was the, what do you call it, the top doctor for the state of New Hampshire,
he was not a doctor.
Really?
Not Al. He was not. a doctor.
Wasn't he a public health official for the state of New Hampshire?
No. He came from he came from out
I'm
of the
thinking
state.
somebody else then,
Yeah,
I guess.
yeah, he came from out of the state.
Okay.
And he did a great job. He just flipped that place around.
Yeah.
Dr. Coy was one of the people that
Dr.
he
Coyce
died.
was a guest on our show.
Exactly, and Levinson, Dr. Levinson, they're the ones that
Which-
brought all
Yeah,
this stuff.
we've had these people on, yeah.
Yeah.
Good people.
Really?
Yeah.
Is it still a big issue for the American Legion that we don't have a full-service VA hospital
Not
in
anymore.
New Hampshire? This is okay the way it's going?
I think it's good the way it's going. I mean, to get a full service hospital, if it happens, it happens. But right now, a veteran is well taken care of in the community, and to me, sometimes it's a lot better that they can go to a local community doctor versus waiting to go.
So
to the
that's
VA.
working, you think?
It's working good. I mean, I know veterans that need specialized. I'll give you an example right now. Some people have a dental clinic at the VA hospital, and because of COVID and all that, it's not properly maintained, and they get to change the air quality in that. So therefore, these veterans that are qualified go to local dentists here in the city of Manchester.
That's good.
So, they're being taken care of. The veteran today is being taken care of. It goes to the challenges. The challenges that we have is getting the word out of the benefits that people are entitled to, that the veterans have fought for. Congress has authorized these benefits to veterans to make sure. And you have a lot of proud veterans out there, and I went through the process over the number of years as, I don't need that. I don't need that handout. It's not a handout. It is
Yeah,
something.
you've earned
It's a
it.
return on investment.
You invested your life,
Yep.
and the government said, we're going to give you this benefit if you're entitled to it. And so I think the challenge is getting the word out, because I can tell you that our service officers are very, very busy. They do an average of 1,000 calls a month of veterans looking for benefits and helping to find the right paperwork or getting a 214. 214 is a documentation of your service. So I think there's a lot of things out there that information does not get to the veteran. And there's a lot of veterans out there, I got a good job, I don't need it. It's not the case, you don't need it. Wait till you get to be 60, 70 years old,
Yeah,
80
right.
years old, and you'll wish you'd done it.
Exactly, I'm sure
So,
that's true.
But anyways, I want to before we close, most importantly, and I got some good friends that are Marines, I want to wish them a happy birthday today.
Yeah, the American Legion welcomes members from all branches of the service, right?
So the
Not just
Marines-
Army guys like you.
This is their birthday, the 10th.
Oh, right, 246 years at IC?
There you go.
I went to the luncheon
How
today
about
at the
that?
Jones
So, I
How
want to
about
wish
that?
all your Marines out there.
Older than the U.S. Army. Is that right?
There's a little story behind
little
it. There was
story
a break.
behind A little story about the Marines staying on board ship while the Army
Well,
went ashore.
right, right. Well, that's what they were supposed to do. It was a pretty dangerous job to be on those ships.
You know, and
Anyway,
speaking of
shot
Marines,
at.
as we get into the holiday, we were talking about the community service that veterans do, and of course the Marines have their flagship Toys for Tots program that we always
Oh, yeah.
promote every year, and that's veterans again coming home and helping out. You know.
Yeah.
Listen, we talked about the challenges to veterans in general, but talk about your organization. How does someone join? How does someone get in touch with you guys? How would someone if maybe their dad was a veteran and they want to join Sons of the
Well,
American Legion?
all you have to do is have 1 day of service in the military, honorably discharged. We got rid of the periods now. Anybody who served since December 7th, 1941, we used to have periods where you couldn't get in from 1975 because there were no conflicts. That has been all dropped. And that's all you have to have is to have 1 day of
Do you have a website where you go and download or fill in your application?
Legion.org, but the best is to go to your local Pulse. You actually know what's happening.
Yeah.
And actually, if us veterans can speak it up, talk it up, get others to join. I always recruit somewhere around 40, 50 members a year, but I go knocking on doors a lot and
You do?
talk with people. Oh, yeah.
Really?
I see a person. I had a real interesting story one time, just a few years ago. One guy says, What are you doing in my house? I don't ever want to see you here again. I said, well, you already belong to the Legion from another town. I said, I'd like to transfer you. He said, get out of here. Well, several months later, I see this new face at our post. I says, hey, welcome to Sweeney Post. I haven't seen you here before. So where do you live? He told me where he lived. I says, you kicked me off your property. I said,
Did you let him stay?
Boy, as a politician who's worked on knocking doors, I wish I could tell that story, but that's a good one.
I said, well, welcome to Sweeney Post. And so I had to go somewhere else, and then I went behind him. He says, here's my card. It's what's that for? Transfer me. You better do it now. And he's been a member ever since. So.
We get a lot of people to
You
join.
got a story like that, Mike? That's a good one.
Well, we get a lot of people to join Sweeney Post because there's no smoking.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's helped a lot.
That's a big thing today.
Did the other post still have smoking?
About five.
Five.
Out of
Five.
four-
In New Hampshire?
Out of 50 posts, there's 5. We have 101 posts.
I'm shocked by that, frankly.
Yeah.
Well, as
Veterans
a private
should
club, they're
protect
not
their health.
subject to the laws that bars and restaurants
But
have.
they're falling all the time. They're seeing the
Well,
light.
Senator Barnes made sure of that when
Yeah.
he was up there,
Yeah.
that the veterans were exempt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they're doing it on their own. You name it.
Yeah.
So.
It'll come. It'll come.
Yeah. Well, we're getting to the end here, guys, and I want to thank you so much for coming on. Mike, thanks for reaching out to us. We're honored to have you here. All you've done for the city of Manchester, the differences you've made in our Veterans Park. And Bill, you know, what you're doing with all these activities, it's not just an organization rooted in the past. It's obviously an organization that's, you know, building a better society for us. And, you know, we should be so thankful for you people for the service you provided and the service you're continuing to provide. So really, I appreciate your being here. Have a great day tomorrow. Unfortunately, I'll be out of town. I'm traveling south on the Amtrak tomorrow, but if I could be here, I certainly would be, and I'll be wanting to check in and see what the coverage is. And thank you so much for joining us.
We cannot thank
Thank
you
you.
enough for allowing
Thank
us
you.
to come.
Well, it was our privilege,
It really
gentlemen.
is.
It
It
really
really
was.
is. You know, we try to. Every show is topical, and certainly at this time of year, we're thinking about the veterans. You know, and
Yeah, we certainly
you
are.
know we do have a minute, and I want to say, you know, when I was a very very young man. I don't think veterans necessarily got the respect that they might have deserved. I think there was a
We were
misconception.
talking about the Vietnam era.
Well,
right?
that's when I was a young man,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
And I'm happy to see, you know, that the veteran, the soldier, is earning again the respect that they deserve. because
Including the
it's
Vietnam
not
vets.
it's
you know,
it's not the soldier that
they
decides.
deserve as much recognition of the vets from World War II. Very few of them left, unfortunately, and you know, Korea and other conflicts. But this was one of the most difficult conflicts for this
Yeah.
nation, and we still have to honor the veterans.
We got vets
who
coming home
answered the
every day.
call, and you know, did duty in a dreadful experience. Bill, go
One
ahead.
more thing. I heard a ditty a while ago that the definition of mankind is war interrupted by periods of peace. That is. seems
Well,
so
you know,
true,
I'm
huh?
sorry to say that seems to be the history of
Isn't
our
it? It
country.
really is. Yeah.
We had a Pax Romana, we had a Pax Britannica. I don't know if we've ever had a Pax America, but I hope we will.
Yeah, it was from '86 to about.
I mean, if there's
90.
anybody that wants to see an end to war, I'm sure it's the
the
veterans,
vets.
right?
Oh, yes.
Oh, yeah.
We
Definitely.
want that. We don't want to see more men go off to be
No.
young men go off to be chopped up in the meat grinder that is modern warfare. So, you know, I'm sure you're advocates for peace as much as you are for anything else, right? Very good, gentlemen. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you very much.
Enjoy your Veterans Day tomorrow. I'll be with you in spirit. You'll be on next week, Mike?
We'll put something together next week, and we'll see you then.
Thank you.